Hello and welcome to a RenderSpaz video tutorial, and today we're going to look at creating hyper-realistic grass within IRAY and using 3D Studio Max. And what I want to do here is show you what we're going to be creating. Alright, and I already have a folder set up and ready to go. We're going to pretty much be creating this effect, and it's very straightforward, very simple. And it's going to take no time to get these kind of results. So when we're creating grass, there's good ways of doing this. You can create your own blades and then have different variations of sizes and go that route. Or what you could do is get a plugin that someone else has created and shared on the web. So where I've got this, this is called the Grass Generator plugin, and it's made by, see here, if I bring up the website, we're going to go into the Mantissa, or Mantissa, if I said that right. This is where this gentleman here has a grass generator. Okay, and you can download this for free on his website. He's got excellent plugins, excellent work. And what we see here is there's a lot of different functions that you can create grass patches and scatter these grass patches throughout your scene. There's the installation and everything, and it gives you really good results. So what we have here, and I'll have the website in the link for this on this page to get you to the, bring you to the right spot to grab these plugins. So this is the effect. This is all done in IRAY, and that's what we're focusing on. And then I have just a quick comp, put in some flares and just did a little slight color correction. But it pretty much all this came right out of IRAY. All right, so let's get started. And I've already provided, or for this project, I already got my ground that I want to use. Okay. And I got this off of CG Textures, and also I made my own displacement map. Okay, just get some bump maps out of the, or some bump out of the ground and then the grass area, and then we're going to use the rest of the grass generator to do the rest. And cancel all these out, and let's get to this. So I'm going to create a plane across the ground on our grid. Will be our ground. Alright, I'm just going to set up, I want this to be a quite good size here. That's good enough. Let's come over here and let's do 100 by 100. Now the reason why I'm going to do this is I'm going to use our displacement map to give us some, just a bit of bumpiness to this geometry. So what I'm going to do is in the plane, I'm going to create a displace modifier. I'm going to come over and I'm going to grab this displacement and drag it into our bitmap section here. And if we control the strength, you can see things have changed. It actually is working off our bitmap, okay, our displacement here. Of course, we can blur this up a bit so it's softer, so it's not so rough. But you can see we get a little bit, we get some realistic effects here that can act as our ground. It just gives us a little bit more, instead of just being plain and flat. So the more res you add to this, so the more segments, if we're going to do 100, or say we did 200, we're going to get more details added to our ground plane. And you can do this. This is fine. Okay. It's going to add a lot of polygons. Obviously now, right now, just on this ground, we're at 80,000 already. But that's okay, because it's going to give us some realism, and most of today's 3D software can handle quite a bit. So our strength, I might bring it down just slightly a bit here. We get something like that. All right, so we're going to switch over and get our IRAY engine ready to go. Let the email notification there. I don't want to use that. Let's go to mental array, or sorry, IRAY, and then IRAY for active shade as well. Okay, so we're all set up there. We're going to use active shade at first. Okay, so active shade is all set up. We'll get into these properties in just a minute. All right, maybe I'm just going to just change this to triangle. All right, let's go to active shade mode, and let's see what we got here on the other side. There we go. Hopefully this runs okay. I got the screen capturing software running plus everything else. So it's just might run a little bit choppy. So right now, I believe that the IRAY is running off of the CPU, and that's okay at this moment. We're not going to get into anything too crazy right now. So let's go up and let's create our first material, and I'm going to just cancel this. And I'm going to use ArcViz, or sorry, Arch in Design, ArcViz. I'm going to throw together our diffuse grass texture here, because that just doesn't really want to go that route. There we go. Now, by default, we get a little bit of shininess or reflective. We don't want that, so we're going to bring this right down. Stall this up a bit. Let's apply that. There we go. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to use our UVW map. Okay, and this is a tileable texture. I'll take off. There we go. Our edge faces here, and we're just going to kind of get something. We're just going to tighten up the texture a bit. Gives us some. It's looking pretty good. Okay, so we're going to set up our render here. Let's get nice and close. All right, so. Make sure we got some Fresnel reflection on, just a bit. You're not going to notice any reflections in this ground, so just put a bit. You just want to see a little highlight. And then we're going to take our displacement map. We're going to drag it into our displacement slot here. I'm also going to take it and drag it into our bump map. Let's take a look at what we have. I think I might have to refresh this guy. Could be wrong about that. Well, a little bit, it's working hard here. Okay, so now that we have everything applied here in our displacement and bump, we're just going to give this a render and see what we have. Oops. Should make sure that I'm actually on. It's looking pretty sweet already. Let's just make sure I'm on active shade. I just switched that by mistake. So I can tumble around the scene a bit. There we go. Okay, so it's a little bit sharp in certain areas. Okay, but that's, you know, they kind of look like stones or rocks. It works, but we just want to tone it down a bit. So let's go with 0.5 instead of 1. Let's bring that down a bit. And bumpiness, go to 1. Just want to see what that's going to do. It's going to give us a little bit more noise throughout the terrain, and that's looking pretty good. Another option that you can do with your displacement is you can use a blur and just blur this out a bit so it's not so sharp. There we go. It just gives it a natural look. And actually, I'm really liking what I'm seeing here as a base ground. So you can see it looks very organic. All right. So we're going to go with this. And now we can start applying our grass. All right. So going to the generator, plugin generator here, I've already set mine up. Okay, so if you follow the instructions how to install this plugin or script, you'll get it here, and you can just click it, and from there you'll have this little drop-down menu. Now I'm not going to get into the crazy details of of all this stuff in the grass generator, but I'm going to show you that with it, instead of creating your own blades, unless you want to, you have the option just to hit generate here, and you get a patch of grass. So each time that you can always configure this, if you want it dense, you can generate and you'll get dense grass. If you want it sparse, you know, you can see here in the options that there's many things that you can do. You can even have a rate. You can change the radius so you get more. So if you want 30, or it's actually, let's do something more drastic like 50, and you generate, you're going to get it scattered out a little bit more, and also it's sparse. So if you want a little bit more grass blades, you can hit medium, generate, and that looks pretty sweet. So you can use that. So we can go with this for now. But also you can see it's coming in one direction. You can change the direction, and you can do a lot of different things. There's rotation, and some different effects. Okay, and amount of blades and unique of blades, like different ones. You can say I want 8. All right, and then let's delete this, generate that. We get some different looks all the time. All right. So for this patch of grass, we'll use this guy. Okay, and we're going to scale this down because it's a little large. Or actually, we don't have to actually do that right now because we're going to use another feature in just a moment here that controls our scale. But let's get our materials going for this guy. So I'm going to come up and I'm going to make a straightforward material. We'll give a little bit of subsurface scattering, some weight to the translucency. I'm going to use an arc design material. All right, and I'm going to go with, let's see here, let's start off with a base gray, or green, not gray. Okay, and actually what I want to do, and what's important here, I'm going to try to match a green that's in this plane, in this texture. So something like that might work for now. So right now we're a little bit glossy, so we're going to change this. Go to 1 right now, and I just stall this up a bit. So grass has a little bit of shine to it. I'll control it by this. So we get a little bit. If we want to, we can also maybe get it in the greens. Something like that. I'm going to do a Fresnel. And then we need a little bit of transparency. So I'm going to say 0.5. Okay, that's a little too much, actually. 0.05. And let's make this like a fluorescent green, something that if light goes through these blades, it's going to give you that kind of translucent look that the light's going through. It's going to kind of glow it a bit. So we're going to use that kind of green. And we're going to turn this guy on. Actually, no, I'm using the wrong spot here. I got to paste it here. So we start to see a little bit of color come in. Okay, we're going to weight this at 1. We'll apply it here. Okay, so right now I don't know if we're going to see this effect because we have to have some kind of direct light coming in. but it looks quite nice. Now you can get very technical with this. You can add a gradient ramp and change the colors of the tips. So what we're going to need to do is we'll have to give this a stop, and we're going to have to get some direct light in, so that's going to be our sunlight. But at first we're just going to use tools within Max, our object paint tools, which is a very cool feature. It's been added a couple generations of Max back. So what we're going to do is we're going to select this guy, and we want to make sure that's good that our pivot is in a correct spot, so that it's sinking the ground a bit as we place these guys down. And we're going to select on our list here, we're going to just select and pick the grass patch. So we're going to see grass patch here, all right, in this list mode. Cancel that out and come over here and go to paint with objects in list. Now we're going to select this terrain. I'm just going to take off realistic mode here for a moment so we get some power. We're going to come over to let's see here, where is it that I'm going wrong here? Display, yes. We want to just display selected with edges faces. So I'm going to turn that off just so we can see what we're doing here. So we're going to select the ground. We're going to come over to the paint tool, and we want to make sure that we paint on selected objects. So now that we have the ground selected, we also have this grass patch selected in our list. And if you want variation in different kinds of patches, you can also add those to the list. And when you paint, okay, we see that we can paint on the terrain, okay. And if whatever's in this list, and because we only have one patch, it's just gonna use this one patch to distribute all our grass along the terrain here, okay. So so what we need to do is we need to set it up so that this scale of the grass patches are small enough that it just kind of fills. It gets our proper scaling in, and it fills in nicely here. And then what we want to do is we want to make sure that we have a random Z, okay, which check that on so that will be there'll be some different rotation, some variation in rotation. So let's go in and start now painting. So as you see, we're starting to just overlay. We can just randomly kind of come in here. I'm just kind of clicking once and painting patches. Okay, if you want a thicker area, you can kind of just hold it there, and it will it'll just keep spitting out those grass patches. Okay, and you can see I'm just kind of going along, and if you want to change the scale, you can also do that as well. You can come over here. You can say a random scale, and you get like some variation. And this is too high, so you got to bring down how much you're willing to accept here. So I'm going to say I want 63, and the lowest patches. So we get these little smaller patches, but that might look a little weird. So you kind of want to get these ones very close to each other. Okay, and I just don't like the size of these guys. Okay, because I'm trying to match our texture. But as you can see, we're getting a pretty cool look already. And just kind of patching this guy down. Get something like this. All right. So now, if we go to render, It's going to take a little bit here. Oh. There you have it. Now you can see we get from distance, we're getting some of the translucent, which is kind of weird because I don't understand how you can get that. You don't really have a direct light. Well, actually, we do have some kind of light. We have the max default lighting, so we're going to have to change that. We also have some different lengths and some variation here. Okay, but you might see, depending on how the patch is, this might be a little too tilted up and over a bump a little bit different there. We don't want that, but it's to whatever look you're going for. All right, but you can see that this is looking pretty sweet as is. So now what we want to do is we're going to set up our own lighting system here. If I hit Control C, I can set up a camera from where my perspective view was. All right, and we're going to set up our own lighting system. So the first thing I want to do is cancel out our default lighting. So I'm going to go to Skylight, and I'm just going to apply that there, and we're going to shut it off. Okay, we're not going to use it. We're going to rely on the daylight system within Mental Ray and 3S Max. Okay, so we're going to just draw out where our sun's going to be here. And we want to make sure we have a manual positioning, or whatever you like, but I'm going to use manual for this. Sunlight's going to be Mental Ray Sun, and we're going to use the Skylight as Mental Ray Sky. Okay, it's also going to ask you about the physical sky environment. We're going to say yes, we want that guy. And so go to our perspective. I can tilt this down. Now if I go to show realistic, you're going to see the lighting's going to update. So we can kind of get a general idea of how our shadows are going to look. So that's kind of cool. We want something like that. So I'm going to go with a just almost like the magic hour. All right, and that's usually like a 5 o'clock kind of look. It might be a little bit below, so I'm just going to bring it up a bit. So the camera, we'll just take a look. So if we hit render right now, what do we get? All right, so looking pretty good. It's a little dark right now, but we're seeing some pretty nice effects here. We get a little bit of this this noise a little bit here, and that might be because of the translucent. I see the translucency coming through, and that might sharpen up as the render kind of sharpens up. But if it doesn't, then we might have to play with some properties here. All right, so it's a little dark, and so how we're going to fix that is we can come into our exposure control. Now we're starting to create like real life camera values here. Okay, so we want to make sure we're on Mental Ray photographic exposure control. And we can come down here and we can play with the exposure value if you want, or you can go to the photographic and play with this and bring this down to the actual real world camera properties here. So 1.5, shutter is a little high. So we can play with this. So if I'm going to do like 4, okay, start to get better looking light, okay, and the sun's coming through, and that looks good. We got some of the ground, and we're maybe lacking some grass patches, and we can always add some here. We can. Now, here's the thing. We're not on our safe frame right now, so if I apply a grass patch in this bottom corner, it's just we're not going to get an accurate reading here because our safe frame is not turned on. So let's go and start getting our final output size. So I'm going to go with HD. I'm going to go with a 1280 by 720, and we're going to come over to our properties, and we're going to check on let's see here, show save frames. There we go. So now when we render this guy, okay, we're going to get obviously a way bigger render here, which means more juice from the CPU, and then by the GPU it's going to really want to ask for more memory and more power from both. But for now this should be okay. There we go. Alright, we're looking pretty good here. I mean, there's a little bit of noise, like those little over bright pixels that you see. I don't know if you can see them in this on the screen here, screen capture, but there's a little bit of pixels coming through. They're not really bothering me too much right now. Alright, so actually it doesn't look too bad. It's a little bit spiky, our ground, so I'm going to just fix that. Let's pause this. Let's stop that for 1 minute. Let's come over to our materials, and displacement needs to just relax a bit. It's a little bit hot, so we want to go to our displacement map. Let's maybe add a little bit of I'm going to go with 80 blur. Let's try that. And it's a bit better. It's still a bit spiky. So let's see if I can mess with the bumpiness. Might be just too high. Let's bring that down 0.5. And our displacement, you know what, if I go over to our render setup here, and let's go to our displacement. We're going to say our edge length. So this guy, if we change this, okay, let's say we go to 5, it's going to change the way our edge of our displacement comes out. So we could probably smooth it out. Now, if I do something ridiculous out of a 10 maybe, see what that does. Now, I don't know if this is doing it real time here. I see the screen refresh, but I may need to just refresh the active shade window here. There we go. That's it. So I just brought that value up, and it just smoothed out some of our bumps. So you can see now we get some nice smoothness to it. It looks a lot better there. And that should give us cool look. Now you can see when I did the size of the grass, some of them look bigger blades, some are smaller in areas. That gives a sense of realism when you do that. But this is looking pretty good so far, and this is going to be great for ArcViz renders, or if you're doing anything with showing outdoor environments and you want some detailed grass in there. This really helps. And this plugin's excellent. Also, it works very good with IRAY and IRAY. So now what we want to do is let's start getting in our, what I've done was added some little bit of water and puddles throughout. So I'm going to just do that and end this tutorial with showing you that kind of method that I worked with there that you see in the preview render. So we're going to go over to a new material slot. We're going to type get our mental array, not type, but we're going to get arch and design material again here. We're going to go over, and maybe we can use a property here, can we? I think there is. There's translucent. There's water reflective surface. That's a good one. I don't really want a tealish color. I'm going to go with like maybe a dirty, like green. That looks a little too swamp. Well, I guess like a dirty-ish water. All right, something like that. We can add a little bit of our own reflection, more reflective surface. Something like that. We'll give that a shot first. And so what we're going to do is we'll create a simple plane. So we're going to create a simple plane that's going to go over our terrain geometry. So I'm going to hit plane here and just drag it across. I'm just going to get this guy in this good spot. And keep in mind, I want to keep it kind of high, higher than what it looks like, that it actually looks like in the viewport. And the reason for this is because our displacement goes higher, so we just want it to kind of sink in nicely. Okay, this might even be too low at this point. And we're going to make sure we're not going to have all these segments, right? Because that wouldn't be good. So now we have that. I'm going to apply our ocean shader. Now if I hit render, what do we get? This is going to be interesting. And there we go. And that's not too bad. And we got some nice it's bluish water. We can change this out to anything we like, but you can see it kind of goes through and seeps through the grass. It looks pretty realistic. Maybe this edging is a little bit sharp, but all in all, for this kind of effect, this is kind of neat. So what I want to do is just play with the material a bit. Alright, so where's my material? And I just kind of took off on me here. There we go. Just a little bit of delay here. Oops. Where are you, material editor? There you are. Okay, so now let's just kind of mess with, first off, we want a little bit of transparency. I wouldn't know why we wouldn't have that. So I'm going to say 0.8 and see what we get. Should be able to see this in real-time change. It's a little slow at the moment. Also, I am using the CPU right now. Okay, and then we're just gonna go with it's blue right now, so it's not really giving us the color we want. So I'm gonna come over here and let's change this to like a brownish color. Let's give that a shot. Here we're not seeing too much change there. We do see a little bit over here, but we're getting a lot of the sky reflection into the into our water here. It still looks very good. I was just trying to see if I can get a little bit color change here. But as you can see, we got a cool look here. So what we want to do now is we can really fix this image up by going into our let's go into our exposure control. Okay, and we can play with this a bit more. We can say, let's see, 3.5. Get a little more light hit in this. Okay, and then we can also say, let's play with our highlights. Crank those guys up a bit. You can see we start to change the image around here quite a bit. Our shadows, we can bring these guys down. Okay, and then let's go with color saturation. We'll crank that up a bit so we can get the greens up. Just make it a little bit more vivid. Bring it down just a bit. Our mids, bring those up. Actually, I'm going to bring those down. But yet, let's bring that up. Let's bring our highlights up. And we could also take our white point and make it a warmer feel a little bit warmer. Whoa, that's a little bit too orange. Let's bring it down a bit, Kelvin. So this will just change how cool or warm our image looks. So we want to feel a little bit of heat of the sun. Okay, and pretty much what we got is a very nice rendering of the grass, the puddles, the displacement ground, right? We can play with the texture if we want with this ground here and get it a little darker if we want. But what we have here, a general nice image of grass, some puddles, and some nice rough terrain, some rocks, and this is pretty good for IRAY. And we've seen a little bit of noise. Actually, this noise is kind of a nature between our translucency and our, I believe, and our transparency, actually. So I think that will go away. Just hit the pause button here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is go over and let's get the GPU kicking in, and let's take a look. Actually, you know, geez, I lied. Actually, the whole time the GPU was working, so we were getting the results quick enough, and actually had everything going. I had the CPU going and the GPU. So let's hit the active shade and let's take a look at our final image. Okay, and I actually forgot one more thing that makes this image look a lot more real. What we want to do is let's add some depth of field. Now, actually, let's change our camera. All right, so we've got a 24. Let's see if I get a little bit more angle to this. Okay, and I want to do, let's see here, let's get our, enable our depth of field. Let's go make sure it's on the depth of field mental ray. Okay, and we're going to go with a 1.5 for now, and our target distance has to come, let's take a look at what we're looking at here and see. So our target distance is way over here, so what we want to do is we've got to bring this guy closer to the grass blades right here in front. Okay, so we want it to be quite close. We're looking at this area here in this spot, so this will, there we go. So we got nice sharp blades, and then it comes out and it just falls off. Now we're at 1.5, so we got a very shallow depth of field. It's going to look pretty sweet. We can go with this, or I'm going to go with 1.8. I don't know how much do I get out of that. Just want maybe a little bit more of this stuff over here focused as well. Let's drag that a little up more. We might get, there we go. There, now let's hit the render button. Let's take a look at this this puppy. All right, and there we go. So you can see we have a nice depth of field. We got it going out of focus, and we're focusing here at this area. You know, and if you want to not have so much out of focus, you can always play with the f-stop. The higher you go, the less of the depth of field you're going to get, and then you can just move your target distance to what you want to focus on. So that should pretty much cover this video, guys, and I hope you'll learn something from creating the hyper-realistic grass within IRAY, and try this yourself and see what kind of results you get. And I hope you learned something. Thanks for your time, and check out more RenderSpaz tutorials and more of my content at www.renderspaz.com. And thanks, guys, and we'll see you again.